Hey, welcome back to the channel. I am Sammy Fender, and this is Fat Man Tries. If you see this hat on, then that means this is going to be a talking video, not a singing video. The other hat is my singing hat. Anal, but whatever. Today, Fat Man tries to find Tucker Carlson. Now, I had decided a while ago that I wasn't going to get real political on this channel. That's a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. There's a lot of evil out there. A lot of comments come back. And you get in this bit back and forth and back and forth. And I don't want to do that. So this may touch slightly on politics, but not so much. It's more of a concern. I felt in my heart I needed to say these things. I know there's a plethora of Tucker Carlson videos out there on YouTube. This is mine. I've been aware of the political arena a long time. So I just wanted to bring this up because I see what's happening and it concerns me. So I've been watching Tucker Carlson since, way back Fox News. Um, Back, I think, 16, 17, I started watching Tucker Carlson on a show. Always enjoyed it. I always felt he spoke the truth. He was right there in the heart of conservative America, traditional conservatism. And I was really, well, I really liked what he said, and I agreed with a lot of what he said. And even up until uh, this year, not this year, last year, 24, when he spoke at the Republican National Convention, he was a little out there, but he was still speaking, talking terms of conservative party. Uh, and really, even after October 7th, he hadn't really made a big switch. It wasn't until after Charlie Kirk was brutally murdered that I saw quite the change in Tucker Carlson. I noticed it at the memorial where he spoke. He compared Charlie to Jesus and giggled and laughed and said, after all, they were both killed for what they believed in. And he just seemed to be starting to get a little shaky. And then uh, he left Fox, and maybe he left Fox before. I'm not sure that timeline. He had his own show, Tucker Carlson Network, and I watched him uh, about daily. He had some great interviews. He interviewed the guy named Cat Turd, who was big on Twitter and then X. He interviewed Aaron Lewis, um, he was the lead singer for Stained, and then he went out on his own in the country, and he spoke about the music business. He spoke about being a conservative, being an American, being America first. Uh, it was really enlightening, a great interview. He had John Rich on, who was a country music singer, who still is. He's also very devout Christian and conservative. And he spoke about Christian values and conservatism in America. Rob Schneider, who, of course, came over to the conservative side of the Republican Party, and he speaks throughout the United States now in his own show. Plus, he will do some of the TPUSA events, and he's adds humor in the conservative way. And then there was Russ Vaught, who, wow, what an interview that was. He is the head of management and budget now in Washington. And I'd never heard of him. And this interview was off the charts. As soon as I watched, I said, man, I hope this guy gets appointed because he knows what's happening with the budget, knows what's happening in management, and I want him controlling the purse strings coming out of Congress. And he did make it. So Tucker was putting out some very good interviews for quite some time um, until, well, until things started going after Charlie got killed. Then he started going a little bit haywire, and then this whole Israel thing came out. And from my understanding, basically what it was that Tucker criticized the government of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, along with some other conservative content creators or influencers, if you will. And there was some backlash from other conservative commentators or influencers. And boy, that really set him off. He felt like everybody was coming after him, calling him anti-Semitic and things like this. And what I noticed, especially during the Ted Cruz interview, where he was rude to Ted Cruz. It's just simply that. And Ted had said that those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who don't will be cursed. And he wondered where that was. And Ted Cruz couldn't answer him. Yeah, it's 12:3 of Genesis. We also have it said again in Numbers 24. And I think, I have it written down someplace, another place in the New Testament that talks about um, those who bless us will be blessed. And Tucker was concerned that, well, is that with the nation state or is that with the nation of Israel? Look, there are two different things. There's the chosen biblical Israelis, Israel, the Jews, chosen biblically, the line of Abraham from God. And then there's the nation state of Israel that was formed in 1948, two separate entities. Although the nation state formed in 1948 is a place where many of the biblical Jews have gone to live. Now, not every Jew, ethnic Jew in Israel, is religious or is devout, but there are many there. So we have to separate the two. So does the Bible tell us that we have to support the nation state of Israel? No, it does not. I can't find it anywhere. Nobody else can find it anywhere there. But that's not really the point, is it? We are still to bless the children of Israel because if not for them, Christ wouldn't be here. Christ wouldn't have been crucified. We wouldn't be saved. So there's a big bit of respect and thank you to the Abraham's line of the children of Israel, God's chosen. But what do we do with the nation state of Israel? Well, they're our allies politically. And why should we ally them politically? Well, if we weren't their allies, that phrase from the river to the sea would take into effect, and the entire region would be wiped of all Jewish people, all Israelis. The entire nation state would be wiped off the face of the map, and every Jew that in that area would be wiped off the face of the map, as long as every Christian who lives there and every Arab who's living in Israel. The Muslims living in Israel are looked at as traitors the by countries like Iran and Hamas and uh, Hezbollah and those. So it's important that we ally with Israel. It is the only basic democracy in the Middle East. I think that personally, I think that some of the other Middle Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar or Qatar, however you want to. I think there's two different ones. I don't know, but all of them are allies with us simply because they have to be. If Israel wasn't there, I don't think they would be. I think they would thumb their nose at the United States and they'd hold the entire world over a figurative oil barrel, so to speak. So, Tucker, you don't have to support the nation of Israel. The United States does. If you support the United States, then you have to go along with that. You can speak out against it. There's no problem with that. That doesn't make you an anti-Semite. But you've gone a little bit further, where you're blaming Jewish people and the Jews, like a guy like Nick Fuentes does, and you got into even more hot water when you interviewed Nick Fuentes and didn't even press him as hard as you pressed Ted Cruz. When a guy says to you that he admired uh, Hitler and that Hitler did a good job, you didn't really say anything. A normal person would go, "A good job? What did he do a good job on?" Oh, well, he brought Germany back from economic depression and got them up and rolling again. Yeah, but he killed a couple million people, didn't he? I mean, that'd be the thing. It doesn't really matter what he accomplished politically. It's what he did murdering people. And then Nick Fuentes said he thought he loved Stalin, great guy. He killed, I don't know, 10, 15 million people and turned a country into complete oppression. I don't understand how you don't kick back on that. But you decided it was your interview that you were going to do what you wanted to do. It fine. That's your business. That's your prerogative. It's your right. But it's our right. It's Ben Shapiro's right. It's everybody else's right who to criticize and say, hey, you had an opportunity to really go after Nick Fuentes and show him for the bigot uh, that he is, uh, and you chose not to do that. You allowed by allowing him to speak his drivel and say how much he hated TPUSA and wanted to destroy it, how much he hated the Jews and wanted them gone, and on and on. That's tantamount to acceptance. That's tantamount to agreement. If you sit there and just nod your head and go, "Oh yeah, really? Oh, that's something," you know how you do that. How and I'm talking directly to Tucker. Folks, this is going to go back between what he did and me personally talking to him, although I don't know him and he'll never see this. But in my conversation, I'm asking him questions, and I guess you guys will figure that out. You're all smart people because you're watching this channel. Yeah. Speaking of that, if you're still here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment. Those things help this channel and help the algorithm put me out there. I actually noticed that one of my uh, music song videos was showing up in a feed, which is pretty cool. I'd like to grow the channel a little bit. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So, uh, those types of things, it's fine to say those types of things, but that you don't support Israel. But when you have somebody like Nick Fuentes saying what he's saying and you don't push back on it, it's like you're agreeing with it. And what I've seen lately is you're always either defending yourself or you're misquoting, saying things about the situation or about the Bible that aren't true. You just recently um, tried to uh, uh, say that Christian Zionists and Jews were trying to bring about the end times, Armageddon. Well, you put them all together, and they're not all together. Uh, there are um, a plethora of videos uh, just discounting everything you said. You're just going down the wrong path. I think you're I don't want to say it's a hatred, but you have this thing about the Jewish people that has really twisted you. And I think, maybe Charlie Kirk and your friendship with him kept you closer into the conservative movement. And now it's just like with this war going on in Iran, you have completely ignored um, Iran's part, and have blamed everything on Trump. Now I'm going to agree with a lot of people in you that I'm not happy that Trump did what he did in Iran. He had said no new wars, no more wars. That was something he campaigned about. No boots on the ground. And I was thinking about this. So yeah, he did a Bush. Where Bush said I'm not going to get involved in anything. There's no clear cut thing, and we're 20 years. So I don't like what he did there. But I'm going to support our soldiers. I'm going to support our troops. I'm going to support our country because that's what we do here. That's what conservatives do in this country, Tucker, in case you forgot. But so, like with Iran, you give them no blame. You give them no part in their own war, in the war that that Trump started with them. The fact that they've been espousing they are going to build a nuclear bomb. They are going to build a nuclear bomb, even though they're saying, no, we're just, what did you think? Everybody in the world knew that the whole reason and the only reason that Iran was messing around with nuclear power was to process and make weapons grade plutonium for bombs. It was the same thing. You went to Russia and interviewed Putin, which was a great move. And it was a pretty good interview, I should have speak. But then you went to a Russian grocery store and you were all excited because they had these grocery carts that you would put a coin in and get the grocery cart out, and then you do your shopping, and then you put the cart back, and you get your coin back, and it didn't cause for stolen carts, and you were thinking, oh, that's wonderful. Well, there's stores called Aldi, ALDI, all over the country, do the same thing. They've been doing it for as long as I can remember, as long as they've been around. So it's nothing new. But you're so excited with Russia, and yeah, the society is a little bit less wild and free like it is here, but it's also Russia, and they don't have the freedoms we have. Remember when um, you were thinking that Venezuela, uh, you said the leader of Venezuela may be a communist, but the social order was wonderful? Well, yeah, if you oppress your people where they can't speak, they can't do anything, yeah, you're going to have social order. You're not going to have abortion. You're not going to have riot. You're not going to have any of the things that we have in this country, but you don't have freedom. And I think when you have to enforce that by killing people who do try to exercise their freedom, you kind of lose credibility as a good a good leader for social things. So you're kind of veering off track. And this video that I'm putting out here today is to you, Tucker. What happened, man? Can you come back to us? You were a wonderful, positive voice for the conservative movement. You weren't alt right, you weren't far right, you weren't woke what right, whatever that's supposed to be, you know. But you're helping perpetuate this anti-Semitic view that the Jews are bad and we need to distance ourselves from them. You have to make a distinction between the uh, biblical Jews, ethnic Jews, and the state of Israel. The state of Israel is a country like any other country. You know, we're allies with Israel. We're allies with Great Britain, England, Ireland. Look what's happening in England and Ireland. You don't say anything about that. You know, you don't look at those, or you don't uh, interview anybody from there and say what's happening in your country and listen to that, because they're uh, going against the Islamists that are coming in and trying to take over. But you apparently think there's nothing wrong with Islamists or the Nation of Islam, when everything they do is to wipe out all the Jews, all the Christians, and all the uh, non-believers of anything, all the pagans, if you would. So I don't understand. I don't understand what happened to you. I know that you bump your head in the woods hunting, or were you so emotionally distraught after Charlie's death that that you went opposite way. Charlie's brutal murder inspired me to start this channel, to bring it back from where it was, a political commentary that was dark and it was just terrible. But to come back and try to do something positive, try to carry on. I'm an old man, and me going to college campuses isn't a thing, because if you haven't noticed, when an old guy walks into a place where there's a lot of young people, they don't pay any attention. They just give the lip service. If you don't believe me, watch a 70-year-old walk into a Verizon store or T-Mobile store or or into Best Buy and start talking to somebody in the stereo department or the computer department or wherever, and you start talking about what you may do or what you may know. They just blow you off like you can't possibly know anything. You grew up playing Atari, for crying out loud. What would you know? So for me to go out and do this in college campuses, just I might as well talk to a tree. So this is my avenue. Plus, I don't live anywhere near college campuses. But anyway, this is my avenue. And this is what I think I've been told to do. And the music came, and the music will continue. But I just had to say this to you, Tucker, and to any of you who have contact with Tucker, any of you who have a channel, speak out. Ask Tucker to come back to the conservative movement, the true conservative movement of America. America first, by the way, does not mean America isolation. It means we do what's best for the country first before we look elsewhere. The thing about that is we can do America first, looking for what's best for America, at the same time we're doing things outside the country. I think this war in Iran will eventually be good for America. Temporarily, no. But yes, in the long term, I think it'll be good for the entire Middle East if if we don't allow, or if another regime like the last one doesn't take place. So we saw it happen in Afghanistan. The great Barry Obama got us involved in Afghanistan. That went on for 20 some years. And then the great Joe Biden got us out, embarrassingly left all our equipment behind, lost 13 lives in that move out. And the exact same government that we drove out 20 years prior took over again. There's no change in Afghanistan. So if we're going to be in Iran, whatever you want to say, we need to make sure that it doesn't go back to the way. Just like in Venezuela, we don't want it to go back to the same type of government that Nicolas Maduro had. And when you say, well, that's not the United States place in the world, it has always been the United States place in the world. uh, ever since, well, I don't know, World War II, when we went over and saved everybody's butt. Well, you probably don't believe we did that. Of course, you probably don't believe what happened there. I think you're a Holocaust denier too, as well as a lot of other people. But Tucker, come back to us. If any of you watch this, have a channel, put a plea out to Tucker to give up this foolishness, whatever this hatred is of yours of the Jews, hatred is of yours of Christians who support the Jews, the Jewish, biblical Jewish people is who we support, Tucker. I don't care that much for Benjamin Netanyahu, but I'd like to see the nation state of Israel stay, continue to thrive, so that Christians can visit the wall, visit the Temple Mount, visit the stones of the temple, the Wailing Wall, all of these things. Uh, you know, everything in the Bible's there. I mean, it would be wonderful to go there and see that stuff. But I guarantee you, if there was no Israel, there'd be none of that. It'd all be torn down except for that dome. So, Tucker, please look in the mirror, talk to yourself, say, what am I doing? You're not doing Charlie's memory any good at all. I think Charlie, just from watching him, watching so many hours of him, listening to his speeches, I think he would be very disappointed. And I know you talked to him, he told you to go get him and yada, yada, yada. I don't care about that. He didn't give you permission to destroy the movement or to destroy the Conservative Party. He never would have sat for that. He would be against the war in Iran. Yes, he would be. And he would be vocal about that. But he would support his president and he would support his country, unlike the left. Okay, folks, thanks for watching. Tucker, hope you watched it. For the rest of you, thank you for spending your time, these few minutes with me. Again, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment. We should be doing another one here soon about the other person I miss, who'd be Candace, and then hopefully it didn't get too political. I tried not to make it political or angry. And then I have a couple songs in the work. I am a quick thing about that is I'm working on the recording aspect of that, the microphone and the sound. I think the Lord, I'm Not Okay was a fluke, that it came out as nice as it did. So just struggling with that, and then finishing songs I'm writing. I've kind of realized that unless I do some really old hymns, I'm going to have trouble with copyright. And I found out how much it is to get a license to do a certain song per song, and it's pretty ridiculous. Um, that my personal belief, if you put a faith song out there, a gospel song out there, a worship song out there, um, that should be for everybody to sing. That would be one of your gifts to your ministry, would be to give that music away, um, because you're talking that every church who sings a song has to pay a royalty or a copyright fee to Hillsong or Bethel Music or something like that. It's to me is sort of, I don't know, it's sort of secular in a sacred moment. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Please come back. I appreciate every single comment, every single viewer, and for all those who came from Charlie, stay around. Music's coming. Don't worry. Thanks a lot.